an American chess player, I grew up, we all idolized the great American legend Bobby Fischer, and his heir in 1975 was Anatoly Karpov. And he will examine a number of games that he personally picked, which he considered really showed Bobby Fischer at his best. Anatoly, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I decided to make a selection. On the games of Fischer, on Fischer career, with different points. Of course, the first point is quality. So I didn't pick up maybe the most brilliant combinations which Fischer could introduce to chess world when he played with weak opponents. So I believe that the real beauty would be if you can beat strong players, and that's why I will show you a game Fischer played against Petrosyan in Sicilian Defense, and this is still classic till our days. And as you remember, Petrosyan was world champion for 6 years, from 63 to 69, and they played candidates matches in 71. So Petrosyan was still very strong at that moment. Then we shall look game, actually from this game we start our introduction, game against Portish, which Fischer played brilliantly when he played for the United States team in Havana Olympiad 1966. And then we shall have a look on game which Fischer played against Leonid Stein. So maybe you don't remember, this was one of the most strong chess players in 70s, who became for several times Soviet champion, and so he played very interesting chess. Leonid Stein qualified as a challenger to be world champion, but he passed away very early when he had 39 years old only. And so this was another brilliant game by Fischer, which he won in interzonal tournament SUS 67, which Fischer started very successfully. He had tremendous result, but suddenly he left, and chess world should expect he's coming back during 3 years. After interzonal SUS 67, Fischer played interzonal Palma de Mallorca 1970, which he won with fantastic result. After he played candidates matches, and at the end of this road he became world champion. So we shall present you one game from Palma de Mallorca, a game which Fischer won very quickly against another American player, Addison.
In 1972, one of the most important events ever took place in the chess world. This was actually an event that was even bigger than the world of chess itself, captured front-page news on the New York Times, and captured worldwide media attention. Today we're very fortunate to have with us to discuss the Fischer-Spassky chess match that took place in Reykjavik, Iceland, the heir apparent and the man who would eventually become world champion after Bobby Fischer retired from chess. My good friend Anatoly Karpov is here to discuss with us not only the games of this historic event, but the events surrounding the match, the results that it had on the chess world afterwards. Anatoly, welcome to the show.
Hello. So you know, in 1972, of course, the world attention was just close to this match, and that time I was already strong grandmaster. So I had some big victories, like Moscow All-Star Tournament, like Hastings 71. And during this match, I was playing in Austria in Student Chess Olympiad, and we were watching closely what was happening. One of the games which we shall analyze today, I remember since that time, because we we were impressed by Fischer play in this Tartakover-Makagonov Bondarevsky variation. And I remember this like it has happened yesterday, how we analyzed, and so Fischer, in this match Fischer was really very strong, and so that time I was on Spassky's side, because even I could be one of his seconds. In 1972, Spassky invited me to help him in preparation, but only for last 20 days before the match. And I remember that for last 20 days, Spassky did nothing, absolutely nothing. I spent all 20 days in the training camp, and most of the time, it was near Moscow, most of the time Spassky spent in Moscow. And even when he was with us, he was reading, I think, Legend of Old Greece, and he was playing tennis, but in chess. He invited me just to play several training games, and we played only one. I played with white, it was Spanish. That time I was already a big specialist for both sides, white and black. And so I had completely winning position, but then I just missed a very simple trick. I lost the game, and then Spassky decided that he is well prepared for match with Fischer.
But actually, to take a look at a couple of things before we go, the first game we're going to look at is Game 3, but before that, we have to realize that Fischer had never actually beaten Spassky in a tournament game. He'd lost to him in Santa Monica, a very nice game by Spassky. He lost to him in the Olympiad.
In Zigin in 1970, yes, decisive game when Russian team should fight for the first place.
And so even at this, but Fischer had such an incredible series of results. He destroyed Taimanov 6-0, he beat Larsen 6-0, he crushed Petrosian, 6.5, 2.5, on the way to the throne to play Spassky. And so feelings were mixed. A lot of people thought that Fischer would destroy Spassky. A lot of people thought Spassky was still stronger.
No, Spassky was still strong that time. I cannot say stronger. But what happened, because of his character, he overestimated himself. He underestimated Fischer. And mostly what Spassky did wrong, he didn't make serious preparation. Underestimated Fischer, overestimated himself, but the biggest mistake what Spassky made, he didn't prepare seriously to this match. But match started very strangely.
Actually, what happened in Game 1 was Fischer playing black and a Queen's Gambit declined, equalized completely, overextended himself, grabbed the famous H2 pawn, if you remember, and then lost a game that he absolutely had no business losing. You know?
No, I think this was a psychological duel. Spassky wanted to show that he can make draw if he wants, and Fischer wanted to show that he can make complications over chessboard in any position. And so he sacrificed a piece. Of course, it was not necessary, and then he lost by himself.
And so then the amazing thing is Fischer then had a disagreement with the organizers. He didn't show up for Game 2. He was complaining about the television cameras. He wanted more money. And then there was like a break for a while. And the people on Spassky's side, I just read in an interview, the delegation was pressuring him to go ahead and claim a forfeit. And he was saying, no, I came to beat Fischer. You know, I'm here to play chess. And he stuck by his principles. And so that kind of set the stage for Game 3.
No, but actually Game 2, Fischer missed Game 2.
Yes, he forfeited. So he was...
He was down 2 points.
To a player that he'd never beaten, and the reigning world champion.
Yes. But what Spassky said, and I agree completely, that this was a big psychological defeat for Spassky when he accepted this forfeit, and then he couldn't play.
But to Fischer's credit, you know, with all his complaints and everything, he did bring a lot more money into chess. When Spassky played Petrosian in 1966, the prize was $6,000 in Moscow. They played to the winner and like $3,000 to the loser. And the Fischer-Spassky match, by comparison, you were telling me, was substantially larger.
Yes, it was official price of $160,000 for both. And additionally, Fischer could get $90,000 from a British millionaire. And so this was altogether $250,000.
And that was absolutely unheard of prize fund in chess in 1972.
Yes, and then I was continuing what Fischer did for chess players, and when I played with Korchnoi, so we increased prices, and then with Kasparov it was even higher. But the momentum of chess should be my match with Fischer in 1975, when Philippine offered $5 million prize fund, but Fischer retired at that moment.
The great American legend Robert James Fischer in 1972 won the World Chess Championship from Boris Spassky in a well-known match in Reykjavik, Iceland. As a result of that, in 1975, he was supposed to play Anatoly Karpov to defend his title. However, he did not play. Finally, in 1992, he did come out of retirement, and he did play another match with Boris Spassky 20 years later. And we're here today with Anatoly Karpov to discuss what happened during those intervening years, why Bobby didn't play, why the two of them never met in a match, and to examine the games from the Fischer-Spassky 1992 match played in Sveti-Stefan. Anatoly, welcome to the show, and we're very interested to have some ideas about your relations with Fischer and what happened in the years after his match with Spassky.
So as everybody knows, we should play our match with Fischer in 1975, and the president of Philippines offered fantastic prize for the time, $5 million. Anyhow, match never happened, and chess world was disappointed, and I believe Fischer was disappointed also about everything what has happened in 1975. And so in 76, 77, we had 3 meetings to discuss possibility to play that match, which didn't happen in 1975. And for our last meeting in 1977 in Washington, we had big progress in negotiations, and we were close to sign agreement. But at the last moment, Fischer didn't want to sign. Even we had pens in our hands, and so it was a well-prepared agreement. Campomanes was one of the engine of these negotiations and preparations. And only one thing was unclear. Fischer demanded to play match for the title of professional world champion, or just to have professional title, or world professional. But at that time we were still living in the situation when Soviet Union was, and when Olympic movement didn't accept professionals. And I realized that if we include this word in the official title of the match, I will never get permission to play match with Fischer. And so I explained Bobby that so we can find another possibility how to name our match, and it will be very clear for everybody what does it mean. So this is just top professional. This is for the chess player #1 in the history of chess. But still, I believe Fischer was not completely sure if he wanted to play or not, and then he used this explanation, and then he said, no, we sign everything or nothing. And later my official matches came in, and so we had no time to continue our negotiations. So Fischer was out of chess life for 20 years, and then 20 years later he played the match with Spassky. And I must say that the quality of this match was not so poor as many commentators were saying. So we can give even objective details. Several games of this match have been nominated for the best game of the year, and one game was extremely good, game number 1, which we want to show now.
I played a little with my sister, but she wasn't too interested. So then I started playing games with myself. I would make the white moves and the black moves, and we'd, and then then I would just play through the whole game, and eventually I would checkmate the other guy. Or I almost always won. And so I did that for a while. Then my mother started to get worried that it wasn't healthy to be playing chess by myself all the time. So she got me some opponents, some local kids. And then she started taking me around to chess clubs and stuff like that.
Hello. For a long time already, for maybe a few years, I wanted to make DVD series about the best chess players in the world. And if I did that, I would probably start with in chronological order with probably Morphy, Steinitz, Lasker, Alekhine, Capablanca, and so on. But if I had to start with the best players ever, I would probably start with Bobby Fischer. But now I have to start this series for the best players ever lived because of unfortunate and untimely death of chess icon Bobby Fischer. Now, I'm not gonna here tell you his biography, what he did, because you can all pick this material up from anywhere on the internet, from any book, from any publication. That's not my goal now. My goal now to show you, to tell you about things that were not widely publicized in press, and to tell you about things that not too many people know about Bobby. Well, I have met him myself, and I spent some time with him, quite a bit of time actually. And I want to share you this information. So we all know quickly that Bobby Fischer was absolute genius. That's not a secret. I don't even have to mention it. But what people don't know, maybe didn't know, some of the people, that he was not eccentric in a way that he wanted to be eccentric. No, he was special education child. And actually, I read a little bit about special education children, and they have to be approached and dealt with in a special way. That's what Bobby never got. He never was dealt by either U.S. Chess Federation or media in a special way. That's what made him such a isolated person. Bobby Fischer, in the age of 12, already was beating grandmaster in a very, very strong games. The games he played were on the highest level. Well, there is no need to mention that he was, by the age of 13, he already played in candidates tournaments, and he was one of the best players at the age of 14, 15, and a grandmaster that deserved worldwide recognition. Well, all this very well known. Well, he played the match with Boris Spassky.
This was my new plan, just to develop my knight on this square. And he played to gain some space in the center, and I undermined his pawn structure.
And the tension was not too much for me at that moment.
No, this is, this is what being a chess player is all about.
I have a message from Nigel, which is that he would like some champagne cracked open, because I believe these people are going to comply with it.
Jan is a gentleman. We played this match. We were just trying to play good moves, and it was very tense, but, we are simply playing chess. The match against Kasparov will be completely different, and it will be quite nasty. So this is all part of his plan to intimidate, belittle. He doesn't mind making himself very unpleasant. He's actually thoroughly unpopular with his with his colleagues. In fact, he has almost no respect at all from any of his colleagues, because he's such a thoroughly unpleasant person.
Bobby Fischer, perfectionist.
The next game we will see is a very famous game that Bobby Fischer played on his way on becoming a world champion. Right before his match with Boris Spassky in 1972, he had to first defeat former world champion Tigran Petrosyan. And the following game we will see is one of those games from that match in 1971. This game is considered as one of the evergreens of positional chess, of how to play against an isolated weak pawn. Okay, this is game number 7 from the match. Bobby Fischer started as usual with e4, c5, knight f3, e6. This is the Sicilian defense. d4, pawn takes, knight takes, and a6. This is the Paulsen variation of the Sicilian. Bishop d3 and knight c6. Here white has a choice to stay in the center with the knight or capture, but they usually do capture in this position. Pawn takes back and white castles, just following the general opening principles, putting the king into safety. Now black is delaying it somewhat and wants to have a strong center position and played d5. But white doesn't let him be so comfortable in the center and right away played c4, trying to break that nice setup in black's.
Welcome to my video. I'm happy to see you. Want to share with me my experience against the world famous Bobby Fischer. He was the only American chess world champion so far. I met with him when he was quite young, already only 15 years old, but he was by that American champ. I met with him first time in Portoros, the interzonal tournament 1958, where all over from the world played 21 players. Most of them grandmasters, even Russians. I played with him about the 4 rounds, and I was ready for the fight because I seen him. He plays many times his favorite weapon, the King's Indian. Fischer was actually a dark horse, so I sit down to play with the white pieces in order to win.